Can I scream real quick? I'm gonna scream now, okay?
Yeah!
I can't tell you how many years I've waited for this moment. I owe my life to everyone that leaked that Born Again trailer because this is everything to me. 6 very long years of waiting since Daredevil was cancelled on Netflix. And we're basically about to finally see Season 4, and it'll be done properly with the full cast returning. I used to pray for times like this. We finally made it, everyone. I knew Born Again was going to look good, but this blew away all my expectations, and this is just a leak. Imagine how good this trailer is going to look when we can see it in HD and actually hear things properly. Everything about this looks perfect. I could not be happier right now. But here's the thing. I have so much to say about this trailer. I don't even know where to start. There's so many insane and incredible things they just casually dropped on us. So what I'm going to do is this video is basically just going to be a bunch of my stream of consciousness thoughts immediately after the panel ended. I have so much to say. I'm just going to go through everything unscripted, give you all my thoughts, theories, opinions. You know the drill. You've been here before. And if you haven't, make sure to like and subscribe because here we go. I think that the big takeaway here for me is that they actually showed us Muse, who's basically going to be one of the biggest villains of the season. Obviously, Fisk is like the overarching big bad, but Muse is going to be driving the plot forward as this antagonist for Matt, which I think is a great idea. It's a really interesting character to bring into the fold because Muse is unlike anything Matt has ever faced before. He is truly sadistic and horrifying in his killings. If you aren't familiar with the character, he's from the Charles Soule Daredevil run, where he's this deeply upsetting and terrifying serial killer. He murders people and then uses their body and their blood to make these horrific art pieces around the city. He's very anti-Kingpin. In a sense, he's kind of like a vigilante, but not really. So introducing him in the season is really interesting because it's going to have Matt and Fisk almost working together. You see them having that conversation at the diner at one point where they're basically talking about how they need to do this partnership, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be because of Muse. Because his murders going around painting Fisk as the bad guy he is not going to be good for his mayoral campaign, while Matt doesn't want to see someone killing innocent civilians around the city. So obviously it's going to force them to work together to try and take down this unhinged, deranged person. I'm really excited to see Muse. He's one of my all-time favorite Daredevil villains. That run is incredible. He's so unique in that we don't even really know his origins still, which I love. He's just this almost chaotic force of nature, doing everything he can to make the city of Hell's Kitchen worse in his own twisted way, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to introduce him here. It's great to see more Daredevil villains make the jump into live action, because in the Netflix series we only really got Kingpin, then the second season was basically the Hand, and then the third season was Kingpin again, with Bullseye thrown in at the end. We haven't really gotten proper costumed villains for this iteration of Daredevil yet, which is one of the biggest things that the Netflix series missed out on. I love that. It is so near and dear to my heart, but I'm not going to lie to you. They definitely did miss out on adding in more costumed villains, so I like that we're going to throw Muse in here. I think he's going to add a lot to the series in helping to show this different side of Matt as he has to fight someone who has goals beyond his understanding, and all the while he's trying to work with the Kingpin. It's going to enrich their dynamic. It's going to make everything a lot more tense and terrifying and exciting, which has me so hyped, especially on the fact that Matt and Fisk are going to be working together this season. It's really exciting to see their dynamic grow in this sort of way, because with the way season 3 left off, they could not hate each other more. So to now have these bitter rivals forced to team together, it's dramatic storytelling 101. I cannot wait to see how it goes, especially because Fisk still openly knows that Matt is Daredevil. He taunts him with that knowledge at the diner. He could ruin his life at any moment. Matt is putting a lot of trust in the Kingpin here, and it might be misplaced by the end of the season, who knows, but I just think it'll be really interesting to see these two in this new light. I don't know if this is a hot take to say, but I think that Matt and Fisk have the best hero-villain dynamic in Marvel. It's so personal to them. They have this grudge that's lasted years, and it's so interesting to watch it play out in this new way. Obviously, the partnership isn't built to last, but I just cannot wait to see where it goes this season and how it sets things up for the future, especially with Spider-Man 4 on the horizon, which he's definitely going to be in. But the trailer also gives us a lot of other really interesting information here, like how Matt Murdock is still continuing to be the absolute biggest whore on the planet, which is the most in-character thing ever for him. I'm so glad they're continuing to show that this man will do anything just to get some action. A lot of people don't know this, but the horns on his costume don't represent the devil. It's actually just because of the fact that he's so extremely horny all the time. It is maybe his most defining character trait besides that guilty Catholic inside of him. We also get the big return of the Punisher here, which is incredibly surreal. It's been so long since we've seen him. Jon Bernthal as the Punisher is one of the best cast characters in anything. It is spot on how good his Frank Castle is. And I was so bummed when they canceled his show and we never got to see him cross over with any other heroes again. It felt like such a waste. But the fact that he's probably going to be a supporting character here has me really excited. I love the beard look. He's absolutely killing that. I think it'd be really cool if they made it so he survived the snap and he just spent like 5 years ripping through the underworld and cleaning up as good as possible. And then when the blip happened and everybody returned, it just completely shook up his world, and he's been out of his element now, trying to catch up with everybody who's returned, cleaning up these new systems as the underworld gets even messier with people returning to power. Hope we touch on that a little bit here, and then maybe, please, if there is a god, we will get a new Punisher season, because there's so much more room for stories to tell there. And now finally, 7 or 8 years after Punisher said see you around Red in Daredevil Season 2, we're finally seeing them interact again. It has my heart racing. Their dynamic is so special because they're such polar opposites from each other. It's just so good and satisfying to watch. I love their rooftop conversations and just seeing them argue. I hope we get more of that, because that is some of the best dialogue in the entire MCU. I really do think this is a great place to introduce the Punisher again, especially because Daredevil is going to be involved with the law. Obviously, he's a lawyer. You all know this. I don't know why I'm explaining it. But I think it's time that a big mainstream adaptation addresses the fact that police officers are co-opting the Punisher's symbol. Despite the Punisher hating them and not standing for the police, he does not believe in any of that, and I think that this series needs to take a strong stance against that, because with how bad police brutality has gotten and those kinds of people using the Punisher's logo to kind of represent them, it just doesn't feel right. The Punisher's arc in this show should really be about setting the record straight and kind of disproving that once and for all, so people can stop doing this, because it is hard to watch. It's, obvious they've never read a Punisher comic in their life. I know the White Tiger's in here, which is really cool. I'm not going to get too attached because I know the story they're telling, but I think that if you have the White Tiger's trial happen and then these police officers unfairly arresting him and the Punisher sees his logo on their vest and that's how he gets involved with this case that Matt's on, it's an easy way to get them all together, and I think it'd be a really satisfying story, and it would do the Punisher justice. I cannot tell you how happy it makes me to see him home where he belongs. Welcome back, Frank. Cannot wait to see what your future holds in the MCU. Getting the Punisher back wasn't enough though. We get a quick look at Bullseye in this trailer, which has my adrenaline pumping. Wilson Bethel's Bullseye is probably the most interesting character in Daredevil Season 3, so I was so bummed when they weren't going to bring him back in the original version, because it just felt like his story was getting started, and we didn't even get to see him at peak performance yet. So the news of him returning rocked my world. I'm so glad to see we're getting him back. It's very interesting to see him in custody here, because last time we saw him, he was obviously getting that surgery after he just got completely destroyed. But the fact that this comes after Captain America Brave New World has me interested that maybe they can use this as an opportunity to retcon the surgery and say that he got his adamantium spine. It's a big thing with Bullseye in the comics that he has this reinforced skeleton with adamantium, and I think it's such an easy layup for them to come in and just say he got that surgery and it was adamantium. I don't care if it happened years ago. You can just say that he just got it recently reinforced. It's that easy. It just makes Bullseye more threatening. If he's even more of a physical threat to Matt, I think that would go so hard. The fact that he's arrested, though, has me interested, because now it poses the question of, is he going to break out of jail? Does he get out on a technicality or good behavior, just kind of showing how flawed the system is, to lean into this themes of a corrupt system that Matt is trying to combat as a lawyer? And then Bullseye obviously gets out and becomes a problem. He comes back to try and finish the job and kill Karen Page. It would just be so good. I'm so glad we're getting Bullseye. He's such a great villain. I really want to see him lean into that sadistic nature of the character, where he just has no remorse for anyone at all and loves toying with his victims. God, Bullseye is such a cool character. I really hope that he has a long future in the MCU, and this is just the start. Obviously, he's going to have that homemade suit, and I think that this is going to be the beginning of an arc for him, to where he comes back to try and kill Karen. He doesn't get the job done, and then we eventually see him with that proper Bullseye outfit by the end to set up what comes next in the future, and maybe we get like a full Bullseye season rather than just a brief appearance in a few episodes, because I do think he's going to have a very interesting story with Karen and Foggy, who we do see briefly in this trailer. We get one shot of them, and I cannot believe that we almost got a version of this show without them. It feels so right to have them back. I really don't think you can tell a Daredevil story without Foggy and Karen. They're the two most important characters to Matt Murdock, and they ground him in reality and pull him away from being Daredevil all the time. They're the heart of that original Netflix series, and if you didn't have them there, it would be so much worse, so I'm very happy to see them here. I 100% think, though, that Bullseye's gonna come in, he's gonna try and kill Karen, he accidentally shoots Foggy. Everyone thinks Foggy's gonna die, especially with the leaks on the original version of the show. They get to the hospital, and then, oh, Foggy survived, yay, but he has cancer, and that's why he's written out of the season for the rest of it, which makes sense. They had to rewrite this on the fly, so I understand if he can't be in the entire thing, but that's just my little theory there. I talked more about it in this video here if you want to hear my thoughts on it, but yeah. I think if Foggy, Karen, and Bullseye are gonna have like a quick 3-episode arc in here to kind of wrap up their story for the end of season 3, and I'm happy with that. I'm just glad to see them all back in full force. It's really surreal seeing everyone back from that original show after nearly getting a season of television that just wouldn't have been the Netflix Daredevil. Now we're getting it in full force with the proper cast returning, the same exact look and tone. It makes me so happy. As someone whose favorite show is Daredevil, it's the most rewarding thing ever to see everybody return like this. And I hope that means we're going to see them in this new world for a long time, because Daredevil is such a fascinating character with one of the most well-defined casts of supporting characters, and now to have them all back in the MCU, it just has me more excited than anything else right now that's going on in the MCU. Daredevil Born Again is by far the project I'm most excited for. This is going to be something I'm obsessing over. Oh, and one more thing that the trailer just casually threw in there is this one shot of all the different cowls laid out on this countertop, which is amazing. I love the idea that Matt had a bunch of different outfits made in She-Hulk, and now we're seeing what they all are. You've got some really interesting options there too, like the white suit, which only was just recently added to the comics when Matt Murdock literally went to hell. It's a crazy arc. It's really good. I can't recommend it more. It's the Chip Zdarsky arc of Daredevil. Then we seemingly have his new red cowl from the new suit he's going to be getting, which I am in love with. I just wish it had the double Ds, but I'm just happy to get a bright red Daredevil costume like that. It's followed up by that classic yellow ketchup and mustard suit from She-Hulk, which was previously the best Daredevil costume until this new one, and I absolutely adore the yellow suit. I think it looks great. I wish the colors were a little brighter, but I'm glad we get to see that represented here. I'd love if he put that on again one more time. The big one, though, that they just casually tease is the Shadowland suit. I don't think they're going to adapt that arc, and that's fine. We don't need to see Matt as the new leader of the Hand. The Shadowland suit might be my favorite Daredevil costume in the comics. It's hard to say. I love the classic red suit, especially Chichetto's version. I think that's gorgeous, but the black suit goes so unreasonably hard, and if we're going to get to see him in that, I might just lose my goddamn mind. I hope that they pay this off, and it isn't something where they just have it in the background to tease it, because I am so desperate to see Matt wearing this costume. Let him use it like a stealth suit or something. It would work perfectly. I just need this more than anything. I will do unspeakable things to see him in that costume, okay? Just please give me what I want. I can't say enough good things about this entire trailer, honestly. I could talk about it for hours, but we have a lot to cover, and I've only just started. But I'm very happy to see the action is looking better than ever. We're still getting that hard-hitting, brutal, hand-to-hand Daredevil combat. Now there's some more flips as he's more agile than ever, which is great. They nailed the tone of the original Netflix series, which is what I wanted to see most. I'm very glad it feels like a spiritual successor to the Netflix show. It really is just season 4 of Daredevil. And they even announced that season 2 is going into production soon, which makes me happier than anything else in the world. This season was originally going to be 18 episodes, but they split it into 2 different seasons that are now going to be 9 episodes each, which I think is fine. It gives them more time to work on it, and especially with them doing a rewrite, they can take all the time they need to write things and make sure that it's going to be perfect. But to see that season 2 is already going to start shooting later on this year has me really excited. Hopefully we can get to a state back to where we used to get like a season of TV every year. Daredevil is the perfect low budget character you can actually pull that off with. I cannot tell you enough how much this trailer made my entire year. It looks perfect. We have never been more back than this. There has never been a better time to be a Daredevil fan than right now. While Daredevil is obviously the main thing we're going to be talking about, D23 had some other really interesting announcements they just casually snuck in there. Like for the Fantastic Four, they showed the original sizzle reel they did at Comic-Con a few weeks ago, but it was now introduced by the cast on set and in costume with a little speech talking about how excited they are for people to see the movie. And the most interesting thing about that is that they had Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm sitting there in costume. This is our first proper look at the costumes for the Fantastic Four. This is probably going to be divisive for a lot of people, but I honestly love it. I think it looks gorgeous. I love how simple it is. It's like a classic spandex costume that we would have gotten in like a Christopher Reeve Superman movie. It's a lost art that I think has been missed out on because people are always striving for this militaristic, modern look, but there's something so special about a spandex costume that fits the Fantastic Four really well because they're not crime fighters, they're not actively on patrol, they're scientists. This is more of a uniform for them, so you don't need anything fancy. You don't need to do this over-designed look. I just love this simple costume they went with. There's definitely a lot more white than I would have gone with personally, but I do think that it works. I love the little lines on the arms to kind of replicate how the Human Torch was drawn back in the Jack Kirby Stan Lee comics. I think it's a really fun little design choice that's going to go a long way in differentiating Johnny's suits from the rest, because fun little detail here, every member of the Fantastic Four is going to have a different suit design, which I wasn't expecting, but I think is a nice little touch that kind of shows their individuality. You have Reed's suit, which is more blue. You have Sue's suit, which is the classic design with that white and blue patterns going on. Now you have Johnny's suit, which is more white than anything else. I just think it'll make each member stand out and let their personality shine, which is always a good idea in my book. We have to wait and see for a full, proper HD look at these costumes, but I've seen enough, honestly. This is one of the best costumes in the entire comic book movie genre. I cannot tell you how much I love a simple costume like this. They absolutely nailed the colors. I love the logo. It's a perfect blend of simple and sci-fi that all comes together to deliver a costume that I think is easily one of the best in the entire comic book movie genre. We need more costumes that are bright like this. It's a fun reinvention of the classic look in a new way, that still embraces the tone and aesthetics of the past while being able to stand the test of time for the future. Also, I don't know how much I can get away with showing here, but there's one little thing from the trailer that I need to talk about, which is that we finally got a proper look at Herbie. I'm so glad he's going to be in here. I would die for Herbie. I believe in Herbie supremacy. Herbie is the GOAT. Honestly, we just need a Herbie cinematic universe at this point. Like, look at that guy. Is that not just the cutest little robot you've ever seen in your entire life? Even just seeing Herbie done like this, it gives me so much more faith that they're going to do the Fantastic Four justice, and we're going to see a peak comic book movie. There's no film upcoming that I have more confident is going to be great than Fantastic Four. They have my full attention and trust. I know for a fact that director Matt Shakman is going to cook here, and I cannot wait to see the final product next year. I'm counting down the days. The Fantastic Four are my favorite superhero team, and it's so nice to actually be hopeful about them for once. Another project near and dear to my heart is Captain America Brave New World, which gave us a little bit of information that I'm going to obsess over for the next few weeks. They debuted an exclusive trailer at the event, but thankfully once again the leakers came in clutch to show us just how peak this movie is going to be. The trailer mostly focuses on 2 scenes, but there's some new footage sprinkled throughout that we need to talk about. The obvious big takeaway here is that they gave us a full look at the Red Hulk, and I could not tell you how happy I am with this design. Obviously he's literally just the Hulk but red. It's hard to mess up, but he looks perfect. I know some people aren't the biggest fan of it, but I really like how they incorporate the actor's face into the design. You see Harrison Ford's face in there, which is still such a crazy and surreal sight to see. It's very interesting to me that the public knows that President Ross is actually the Red Hulk. I didn't think that was going to be a revelation until the end of the movie. I had this whole big theory cooking up that Ross is going to fake his own death so he can go do Red Hulk shenanigans, and now that's obviously out the window. But it's an interesting twist to have it so the public knows he's the Red Hulk from the beginning. I wonder if that's going to maybe help or hurt his cause. It's hard to say, but I really like that. It makes things a lot more unpredictable, which is always a great thing for the movie. I'm just shocked they even revealed it in a trailer like this at all. I also do like a lot how him and Sam have this working relationship going on. Obviously they have a terrible history with each other in the past after Ross introduced the Sokovia Accords and had Sam arrested. So to now see these two actually have to work together and kind of getting along is really interesting. I have a feeling that Ross is 100% manipulating Sam though. There's no way he's going to be good all of a sudden. I feel like there's going to be this disagreement when it comes to the big celestial in the ocean and it's going to drive them apart. But the fact that Sam can just enter a room and Ross will completely clear it out. He has that much trust in him and he admires Captain America just that much. I think that's fascinating. I'm really interested to see how that plays out in the movie itself. Also, I just have to say real quick, the fact that Harrison Ford's President Thunderbolt Ross is giving a speech on adamantium being harvested from a celestial is maybe the most insane thing to ever happen in the entire MCU. Like, just put that into perspective for a second. Not only is Harrison Ford in the MCU playing President Thunderbolt Ross, but he's casually talking about adamantium being harvested from a celestial. I can't emphasize enough just how crazy that is, that we're at a point in the MCU where all those things can be true and it's just the most casual thing ever. I feel like we take a lot of these things for granted because it is so cool that all these things can be happening in a Captain America movie. It's the biggest benefit of the shared universe, and I just think it's so wild that we live in a world where that's a sentence that makes complete sense. Imagine if you told that to someone even just like as Avengers Endgame was coming out. They would be shocked. Nobody would believe you. But I'm eating it up. I love that so much. Another key thing the trailer also gave us a look at is the new Falcon suit for Joaquin Torres. I think it looks pretty good. It's obviously a bit of a departure from the one from the comics. They don't have the V-neck, but you can't really do that in live action anymore, especially for a guy who's supposed to be flying a high-tech military suit. It doesn't make sense in the context of the MCU. I'm just happy that they got the color scheme right. You see the green suit for the Falcon, classic orange visor, which is really nice. I think that looks gorgeous. By far my favorite part of his suit. I hope it gets some touch-ups in the future just to kind of make it a little more streamlined and not as bulky. But overall, I do like it a lot. It's cool to see Captain America and the Falcon fighting side by side like that. They had such fun chemistry back in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We only got them for a little bit, but what we did get was really enjoyable to watch. And now to see Sam step up into this mentor position and take someone under his wing, pun very much so intended. It's going to be really interesting for his character arc because he has the weight of the world on his shoulders and he's trying to help someone else become a hero. I think that's going to be so cool. It seems like they're going to be doing Sam's character really well in this movie, which makes me so happy. I've said it many times, but he's my absolute GOAT, my favorite character right now. I love me some Captain America. And also, one of the things that this trailer highlights a lot is this big hallway fight that looks to be happening. Obviously, there's been rumors that he's going to be getting this Daredevil-inspired hallway fight to show how capable Sam is as a hand-to-hand combatant, which has me so excited. That is worth the price of admission alone, just seeing Captain America in a hallway with only a shield, no serum, just fighting his way through, and the action in it looks incredible. I cannot wait to see that. I need that injected into my veins. It's going to be so hype. I love the way they're handling his character and that they're really deconstructing him a little bit and showing just how hard it is for a normal man to be in this position and how he still perseveres in spite of that. And the final thing I want to look at in the trailer is this shot right here of this mysterious hooded figure walking into Stark Industries, which is crazy. I don't think we've seen Stark Industries since Spider-Man No Way Home. Right now, I think my theory is the obvious choice that it's the leader. They keep hiding his appearance in these trailers, and I think that he's going into Stark Industry to maybe steal some technology for his experiments. They've been talking a lot about how his head is going to be practical. I'm glad they're not going to CGI it. There's so much weight that comes with a practical head that will actually make him look real and feel like he exists in the universe, and I just hope that they do his big dumb green head justice, because I've been waiting somehow 16 years for the leader to finally make his return, and I think it's such an interesting way to do it in a Captain America movie, so I'm hopeful they manage to do it right, because there's a lot of potential with that character and this film overall. I think about it more than anything else on a daily basis. There is nothing I want more than Marvel to nail this and for people to realize how good of a character Sam is as Captain America. He means the world to me. He's everything to me. This movie is going to change my life. One thing not enough people are talking about from the panel is the leaked Ironheart trailer. The show wrapped filming all the way back in 2022, and we haven't heard much about it since then, so it's nice to finally get to see something materialize from it, and it helps that it looks really good. It's not what I expected at all from this show, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I really like when a show does something different and unexpected, and this is a great example of that. I thought it was going to be more of this coming-of-age story akin to Spider-Man Homecoming, where you see Riri in college as she's trying to navigate the world as a superhero, but to now see it take this turn into a much darker story is really intriguing me. I think there's a lot of potential for this show, and it is exceeding even my highest expectations with this one trailer alone. The biggest thing about the show that I absolutely love is that it's going to be focused on the theme of magic versus science, which I think is a really great idea. It's something that hasn't been touched on in the MCU or even most blockbuster movies that I can think of. I'm sure there's probably one. I don't watch every movie. But the MCU is a great playground where you can actually put these two different corners of the universe and mash them together and see how they interact. It's going to be really cool to see Riri fight a character like the Hood, played by Anthony Ramos, so I'm very excited to see here. The Hood is a really interesting character because he sounds so silly on the surface that he's this magic hood and he carries guns around, and seeing him go against Ironheart was not at all what I expected, but I think it's what I needed. I was not prepared for him and Riri to be working side by side at the start of the series, but I think it's a great way to establish this dynamic between them as Riri is expelled from MIT, and now she's out there fighting for scraps as she attempts to rebuild her armor, but she doesn't have the monetary funds or the resources needed to make it happen. And then you have the Hood enter the scene and offer her what she needs, but I think it's what makes Ironheart so interesting as a character, because she is more than willing to bend the rules when she knows it'll have a positive outcome. I'm not someone who's very well versed in the Ironheart comics. I don't think I've even read a story with her that I can think of off the top of my head, so maybe she's like this all the time, but I was not prepared for it. This is not the impression I thought the MCU would be going with her, but again, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's so cool to see how she differentiates herself from Tony Stark as she takes up this almost successor role, except for the difference now is that she's more of a street level Iron Man. She has the genius and ego in common with Tony Stark, but he was a billionaire, and she now has a hard time finding the money just to even make her suit at all. It immediately contradicts the two characters, and I can see why they wanted to make this show, because it's such an interesting story and direction to take her that I am completely sold on. And also, that new suit is clean. It seems like she's going to get a new suit of armor in each one of her appearances. We had the Mark 1 that she was building in her garage, then she got the one that she had to leave in Wakanda. There were some photos of her on set in this big, bulky, practical Mark 1 armor that she was rebuilding, and I think it looks great. I love that they did it for real because it's going to feel tangible on set, and it also means that I can break into the warehouse and steal it when nobody's looking. And now we have this white suit, which is a bit of a different take from what her normal armor looks like in the comics. As long as it looks good, that's all I care about. I do hope this isn't her final armor, though. I would still love that pink and yellow suit from the comics that we haven't seen yet, but for now, I do like this interpretation of the armor, and I'm just excited to see Riri back. I feel like she's probably one of the more underrated characters in the MCU right now. We only got a taste of her in Wakanda Forever, but from what we got, I adored her as a character. She's so funny, and they tease this emotional story with her and her dad that I hope we can dive into in this show here. It's a series that I think is going to surprise a lot of people with how good it is. It's already surprising me and blowing away all my expectations in a sense that it's doing something completely different, which I love. I hope that we can get a release date soon, because again, this has been finished for 2 years, and they're just kind of sitting on it. But I guess to give them the benefit of the doubt, they are working on a lot of post-production VFX, and I love that they're giving the artists time where they can actually put effort into it without being on a crunch, and they're allowed to see their family. Isn't that a revolutionary concept that they're letting CGI artists see their families for once? So I'll wait as long as it takes. I think this show is going to be great. I'm really excited to see how it goes. Also, a little cameo in here with Jim Rash, the dean from Community, as her teacher at MIT, which is nice because obviously is that small cameo in Civil War, and now they're they're paying it off by having him return as a pivotal member in the Ironheart cast. I think that's so funny, and it's a great example of how the MCU is great with interconnectivity. I always love seeing minor people return in different films, makes the world feel more alive, and if they know Ball, they'll let him make one Dean pun, just for my own sake, for the community lover inside of me.
24 hours later.
Hi, hello, it's a new day as I record this part of the video because Marvel blessed us with a second panel all about their upcoming animated series, which is exciting to see. Unfortunately for us though, nothing got leaks from it because they had to double the security after last time, which is hilarious, but we still got a lot of interesting stuff that I am dying to talk about. Up first, the thing I want to talk about most of all is What If Season 3, because they open things up with the big revelation that Moon Knight is going to appear in the third season, which has me so incredibly hyped. I have waited 2.5 very long years to see Moon Knight again in the MCU, and while it might not be in the main sacred timeline, I'm just happy to get any kind of Moon Knight content. There's so much potential for him in these what if stories. I'm just over the moon excited to see that he's going to be coming back here, and that he's going to be teaming up with Captain America in an episode. Like, that's crazy on brand for me. I cannot believe how much I won here. I'm so excited that they're doing this. It feels like they're writing the episode just for me. What if Season 3 honestly shot very high up my most anticipated projects just because of that one episode? For years, I've been wanting to see Moon Knight and Captain America work together, but I never thought it would happen because why would they? They're two very different characters. But now to have an episode of What If where they just team up together is insane to me. Besides the Daredevil trailer, this is the thing I'm most excited about from this entire D23 event. I'm probably the only one who's gonna be this pumped about it, but I just love Moon Knight so much, and getting him back in this way, it made my entire week. That is the coolest thing ever, and I'm so excited for it. They didn't give us a release date on the season, but I'm very interested to see when it'll come out, because they also teased that Shang-Chi and Ironheart are gonna appear in it, which is nice. The first 2 seasons of What If were very heavily focused on the Infinity Saga, since they were written before we even started this whole new multiverse saga, but now that they're finally here, they can catch up to what we're doing and introduce all these new characters and these new concepts. While I liked the first season, the second one was a huge step up, so I can only imagine how much better the third is going to be than that alone. But the big disappointing news to come out of this for me is that Season 3 is the last season of What If. And I don't like that at all, because in a show where your whole thing is that you're selling the infinite possibilities of the multiverse, and then you just kind of cancel it after 3 seasons, maybe the viewership isn't worth it, I don't know. But I feel like this is a show that could have gone on for years to come. There's so much potential in just taking the stories we're familiar with in the MCU and doing a little twist on it to give us a completely different turn of events, and I feel like there's so much life left in this show to just cancel it like this. I thought we'd go on for a while, but it seems like they're treating this as more of like a trilogy for the Watcher and Captain Carter, and I don't know, I just feel like What If is not being lived up to its full potential if you're just going to cancel after 3 seasons. I get that they probably want to be done with the multiverse concept after Secret Wars, but this should be the one exception, because it's just the Watcher going through how things could have gone. It doesn't even have to be canon to the mainline MCU. It's just so strange to give us what'll be 27 episodes in total and call it a day. I'm disappointed. I wanted more of it. I feel like we were just starting to hit the stride. We're just getting these new characters that were introduced in phases 4 and 5 brought into this show, and now to just end it like that, I gotta get on the phone with Kevin Feige or someone and pitch to him why they need to keep this running, because I really feel like it'd be a waste to just cancel the show and you could still do so much more with it. I don't know, please let me know what you guys think down below, because I feel like not many people are talking about this, and I really want to know what everybody else thinks of What If. But the sadness didn't last for very long, because after that they followed things up with Eyes of Wakanda, a show that we have not heard anything about at all. This is the first time they've officially talked about it. It's only ever been reported on through the trades, and then they've talked about it a little bit in interviews, but this is the first time at a panel they've mentioned the show at all. It's only going to be 4 episodes, which is a shame, but what makes this show so interesting is that it's going to be canon to the mainline MCU. This is going through the past history of the MCU's sacred timeline version of Wakanda. Animation is a great medium to tell this story and dive deep into the rich history of Wakanda, especially with the Black Panther title being passed down from generation to generation, and this series spanning multiple decades. There's so much history to dig through. I think it's gonna be a goldmine for storytelling. I'm really excited to see how it looks animation-wise too. And of course, the big thing that I teased is that an Iron Fist is going to appear in this show. It's not going to be the Netflix version, which is a shame. I do think Finn Jones deserves a second chance because it was the material that was bad, not him. So I'm glad that we're finally getting an Iron Fist introduced in the MCU. I hope that we can see someone like Orson Randall maybe. I know the Netflix show teased him appearing and they never got it. But I think it's more likely that it's going to be someone in the past. So it would be cool if we got like the first ever Iron Fist teaming up with the first ever Black Panther. And hopefully they're testing the waters to see how audiences react to him, because he's a character who should be in the MCU. and I don't know why they haven't brought him back yet. He would fit in perfectly in Shang-Chi too. This is a great way to soft launch Iron Fist into the MCU. I cannot wait to see the history of him and Wakanda. I hope we get more shows like this because there's so much untapped history in the MCU that I'd love to look at. I think Eyes of Wakanda is a great step forward into introducing more canon MCU series. Objectively though, the big news coming out of the animation panel all centered around Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, formerly known as Spider-Man Freshman Year. It now looks to be more of a series showcasing this alternate history of Spider-Man in the MCU, which I really love. The pitch to me looks to be, what if MCU Spider-Man had a more classic origin where they replaced Tony Stark with Norman Osborn, and seeing how that would have changed Spider-Man's history in the MCU, which I think is great. I love that they're using this gorgeous 60s comic aesthetic. The animation sounds like it's going to be beautiful. I wish they'd release a trailer. This show has been in development for so long, and we're barely hearing anything about it. Call me J. Jonah Jameson the way I want pictures of Spider-Man, because it's unfair that they won't let me see this. I'm so excited for this show. It seems like it's going to be such a fun new take on Spider-Man as you explore what the MCU version would have looked like with this more traditional origin story. And also they tease some great crossovers here, like Daredevil voiced by Charlie Cox, which makes me so happy. He's really taking over. Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Nico Minoru, which is going to be amazing for the Inner Runaways fan inside of me. I'm glad that Marvel Studios is actually acknowledging that they exist. I would love if they made the live action series canon now. It seems like there's a lot of potential here. I hope that it delivers. I'm just glad to see we're getting more Spider-Man content produced by Marvel Studios because they clearly know what they're doing. And finally, the last thing closing out this big weekend of D23 was the Marvel Zombies news they released, which honestly wasn't as much as I was expecting. I really thought we'd get more from this, even maybe a trailer online, because they've been working on this show for 3 years, I want to say. Especially because it's only 4 episodes? What are we doing here? Why is this only 4 episodes? The monkey's paw that was all of us begging for them to stop doing 6-episode events and now transitioning to shows that are only 4 episodes is very funny, but incredibly cruel. I am glad that the show is going to be TVMA though. That has me so excited that we're going to just see this brutal, bloody, and gory zombie show inside the Marvel Universe. I did like the zombie episode they did in What If, but I think now in this own self-contained setting where they can really just let loose. I also feel like the show was made for me specifically again because you got characters like Kate Bishop, Ms. Marvel, Ghost. You got Eternals representation too? That is basically my brand. But I am genuinely excited for it. I do wish we just had more from it. They did let us know it's going to be very heavily Shang-Chi focused, which I think is cool. It's a corner of the universe we haven't gotten to explore enough, and I think it's going to be really good. The TVMA is really keeping my hopes up for this, and I'm begging them not to disappoint me because there's so much potential in a zombie show, and it better not go to waste. Looking back through everything, I'm really happy with how D23 turned out as a Marvel fan. I think it was a lot better than San Diego Comic-Con because they only really touched on a few things, and here we got like actual trailers leaked, we got a bunch of news and concept art. It felt like Christmas to me. I do wish we got more reveals though. I'm really shocked they didn't announce any new projects between both of these events, especially since we know some are in the works, like Vision Quest. All of Wonder Man has already been filmed, and they still won't acknowledge its existence at one of these panels. Young Avengers has to be in the pipeline somewhere. I am begging for that, whether it be a movie or a series, and I just want them to make it official so I can get excited. I don't even know what the hell is happening with Armor Wars. They've not brought that up in years. I know it's going to be a movie now, which I think is really cool for Rhodey, but I'd love to hear whatever they got going on there. I do get why they're not announcing these projects ahead of time though, because look at what happened with Armor Wars, where they were forced to announce it early before they even had like a story outline ready, just so Disney can bump up their stock price and show people they got stuff coming to streaming. And now they don't want to get our hopes up, announcing a series then not giving us any news on it for years and just letting the hype slowly die out. It makes sense. It's good for the new production model of taking their time with things and only announcing things when they're ready. I would just like to see a logo for it. We already know the show is in development, just make it official. But overall, I do think this event was a huge success. After the frustrating reveal that RDJ would be back as Doctor Doom at Comic-Con, D23 swooped in to give me a lot more hope for the future of the MCU. I still don't know how to feel about this new overarching Doom narrative, but for all these individual projects, they are cooking. I love to see the MCU expanding like this into shows and different continuities as they embrace animation while refocusing on the high-quality live-action projects that they were known for. Seeing how incredible Fantastic Four and Daredevil look has me more confident than ever that the MCU's best days are ahead of it as they enter a new golden age of consistently good projects. The future of the MCU is bright and I am so ready for it. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed what I had to say, please feel free to give the video a like and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. What did you think of all the news we got? There's an overwhelming amount of stuff to talk about, but I'd love to hear what everyone has to say and continue the conversation down below. If you want to see another video like this, you can click right over here. If you don't do it, I heard they're just never going to release the Daredevil trailer in HD, so you should really get on that because I need to see that.